Hi loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your natal Chiron in Pisces. So what is Chiron? Chiron is an asteroid that represents the wounded healer in us all. So Chiron is this deep pain that we all have, but that once we figure it out, it actually becomes one of our greatest gifts on this planet that we can give to others. But it's always kind of like an ouch place for us until we figure it out. And I've actually found that it's also quite an obvious part of people. Like, it's sometimes missed because it's an asteroid. It's not always included in natal chart interpretations, but it's actually very prevalent and important in someone's life. And when you understand it, you can really tap into your sacred healing gifts on this planet. So with this placement, I've wanted to talk about this for a while actually, because it's so obviously spiritually gifted and sensitive and kind. These people really have this compassionate energy where, you know, they can really feel for people. They can really feel a lot, and they do kind of have this tendency to take in the environment around them and really kind of lose themselves. So with the energy of Pisces, there's this need to really dissolve into oneness, or to really spiritually align with something higher. Now, the difficulty with this placement is that they may not realize that is, you know, what their soul is needing. And so the most common expression that I've seen with this placement is drug use or alcohol use or addictions. It doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. It could be, you know, addictions to relationships, addictions to, you know, whatever it is that personally is resonant for them. They have a tendency to get caught up in this fantasy or caught up in some illusion. So the danger with this placement is that, you know, because there's this deep soul need to connect with a God, an expression of God, something higher, something, you know, spiritual. And because that expression is not, you know, so common in today's world, these people do tend to get really caught up in these addictive or fantasy like realities. And, you know, with this placement, it could even go so far that they could have, you know, mental challenges. They could have severe emotional challenges, severe trauma. There's something very inherently painful about this position, as with all, you know, planets in Pisces. But I feel like, you know, specifically this placement, when I see it, it's just such an ouch moment. You know, it's just, it can be so incredibly painful. And I'm going to talk about the positive things too, you guys, so don't lose me here. Because yeah, there is definitely amazing positive qualities with this placement as well. But the reality of it is that there is often something so deeply painful about this lifetime. And I really do feel like the souls that choose to have this placement are often very evolved, very old souls that have come to this planet to master some type of huge spiritual lesson, sometimes through suffering or through grieving. There's often something incredible to grieve. You know, these people can really have a difficult life in the sense of maybe there's a death, maybe there's, you know, some profound trauma in childhood that really lingers and sticks with them. Or it could even just be that there's like a huge past life trauma. There's something they've come in that's still lingering in their field. They've come into this body with, and it's so incredibly painful. And they have this kind of just grief around existing. There's something just very painful about this placement. And so they end up, depending on how they use that, they end up, wanting to understand about emotional healing or wanting to go into the helping professions. These people could be excellent therapists, counselors, because they really can empathize with another person's pain. But it often does not come out like that. On the more negative side, they can be these emotionally manipulative people where, because they feel so much pain themselves, they really, if they haven't evolved to a certain level spiritually, they really want to suck other people in to their pain, and they can actually be very manipulative. And, this will depend on the whole of the chart. Are there other Pisces planets? Is there some other, painful squares to Saturn going on? Because obviously not everybody's going to have the negative manifestation of this, but it's important to talk about, to just bring awareness in case there's an unconscious level, that you are doing this, or someone who's doing this, you could really understand them. Why are they doing this? It's because of this deep pain that they have for just existing, because this world is very painful. If you do not have spiritual awareness, if you do not have emotional intelligence, if you do not have awareness that, being addicted to drugs and alcohol is not a good long-term plan, the world can be very painful if we do not understand these things. So they can tend to, pull others into this emotional drama, to these drama cycles that they have going on. So that's, of course, the most negative expression of that would be the drug use, the addictions, the escapism, and the emotional manipulativeness. But the higher side of this, the beautiful side of this, is that, like I said, these are some of the most evolved souls. I truly feel like, these people are not messing around when they came to this planet. They came to deal with some heavy emotional shit and trauma. And once they figure that out, that this is a part of their purpose, and they dedicate their life to something spiritual, it could be even art, these people, they can truly feel music. Like when they're listening to music, they can become one with it, and they just get so much out of music or art, or spirituality or yoga or, religion. If they're, religious, that's their portal to God. They really get a lot out of that. Although I feel like this placement would not traditionally, be religious. It would be more of, like a Buddhist master or a yoga master or something like that, that, like a monk, I don't know, or any of it, any way that they can connect to God and have that very personal connection. That is going to heal them, and that is going to make them some of the most powerful people on earth, because they truly can empathize, they truly understand pain and suffering more than most people. And if they're able to rise out of their own pain and actually activate that heart of service and wanting to help others, they can help others through their pain and through that challenge that others have at just existing on this planet, right? So it actually ends up being a very powerful position. But I do feel that if you are not spiritually attuned, if you are not doing some level of emotional healing or trauma healing, this is one of the most painful positions. When I see it in a chart, I just, ouch, right? Like, and, the people that have this would be very, very young, or they're born in the 60s. And they also have Saturn and Pisces, which I have Saturn and Pisces too. I have a video on Saturn and Pisces that I made when I was quite still depressed about having Saturn and Pisces. I hadn't quite got it yet, the gifts of it. And you can watch that video on my channel. I still think it's quite good. But anyway, so they have this Chiron conjunction with Saturn and Pisces. And so I feel like they're some of the most evolved souls, but it could also be, some of the most pained souls. And it's really like a pivotal lifetime for people with this placement to choose serve or suffer, basically, right? It's very important to choose that. And something you'll notice about these people is they do have this kind of Piscean tendency to just flow through situations and blend into a situation. Like if they're in a group of people, they just kind of can take it on and become one with them. So the personality can be quite malleable, you know. So it's really important for them to get a clear sense of identity as well, because more often than not with this placement, they're going to take on what the family said, or they're going to take on what the friends are like, or they're going to just become what the spouse is like. Like their energy is so open and malleable that they really need to cultivate a strong sense of boundaries actually first. It's interesting. So it's kind of a contradiction. They have to first develop their own self and their own sense of boundaries, and then they have to transcend those, okay? Because the ultimate gift of Pisces is becoming one with God, or with something higher, whatever they want to call it, source, universal intelligence, whatever, or music or art or whatever. But they first have to find out who they actually are, and then they can transcend it and, you know, let go of their identity. But first they have to find out what it is first, and they have to have that boundary first, because if they do it too soon, right, we've got the drug problem, we've got the escapism, right? So they've transcended the self without first having the self to transcend, if that makes sense. So this might be one of the most confusing videos ever done, because this is truly a very complex energy and placement, and you know, I hope I've done okay at translating it. And, you know, I'm just speaking from experience and, you know, people I know and the things I've read on it, because it's just, yeah, it's such an incredible placement where, you know, you can really go far down a dark path, or far on a saint like angelic human path. So yeah, not for the faint of heart. If you have this placement, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well, or if you know someone with this placement, what you guys think on this. I hope that was helpful. Love you guys very much. I'm going to be doing more videos here soon, and I do offer one-on-one sessions. You can book those below at the link there. I do 2 types of sessions. I do an individual soul purpose reading where we go deep into your own natal chart and your unique path here, and then I do a relationship synastry chart reading comparing 2 people's charts and the compatibility there. Super fun. Okay, love you guys, and talk soon. I hope this was helpful. If you have this placement, I'm sending you so much love, and I hope I did okay at translating the untranslatable, because it's so ethereal, this placement. Anyways, love you guys. Bye.